It was the year when Elvis still ruled the radio, the Cold War whispered in every living room, and black and white TVs brought the future into our homes. 1960 wasn't just another year, it was a turning point in American life. But how much do you really remember about the moments that shaped it? In 1960, America stood with one foot in the past and the other stepping into a bold new decade. It was a time of jukeboxes and drive-ins, but also of rockets and revolutions. The country was buzzing with hope, fear, and innovation, each day delivering news that could change history. In this video, we'll journey through 7 unforgettable events that defined 1960, revealing the stories behind them and uncovering why they mattered so much at the time, and why we still talk about them today. By the end, you'll feel like you've stepped right back into the heart of the 60s, hearing the music, smelling the diner coffee, and living the moments as if they happened yesterday. The presidential election that changed politics forever. 1960 brought one of the most dramatic presidential elections in U.S. history, John F. Kennedy versus Richard Nixon. For the first time, television played a starring role, and the famous Kennedy-Nixon debates proved how powerful image could be in politics. Millions tuned in to see a confident, youthful Kennedy beside a tired-looking Nixon. And for many, the decision was made right there on the screen. It was also the first election where candidates actively courted the youth vote, recognizing the cultural shift happening across America. Kennedy's victory wasn't just about policies, it was about a new style of leadership, a new energy, and a promise of a brighter future. This was the moment when the television became America's political stage, and campaigns would never be the same again. The birth of the laser. In 1960, something straight out of science fiction became a reality. The laser. Theodore Maiman, working at Hughes Research Laboratories, successfully fired the first functioning laser beam, a concentrated ray of light so precise and powerful it would go on to revolutionize everything from medicine to music. Back then, most Americans had no idea what a laser even was. Newspapers described it as a death ray or light gun, sparking both wonder and a little fear. While the average household couldn't imagine practical uses, scientists dreamed of endless possibilities. Today, we use lasers for eye surgery, barcode scanners, Blu-ray discs, and even concerts. But in 1960, it felt like humanity had just opened the door to the future. This invention captured the spirit of the decade perfectly. A blend of imagination, ambition, and daring leaps into the unknown. The U-2 spy plane incident on May 1, 1960, the Cold War took a dangerous turn. An American U-2 spy plane, piloted by Francis Gary Powers, was shot down deep inside Soviet territory. The U.S. government at first claimed it was a harmless weather research aircraft gone off course, but the truth quickly unraveled when the Soviets revealed they had captured Powers alive, along with the plane's intact surveillance equipment. The incident humiliated the Eisenhower administration and collapsed a planned peace summit between the U.S. and the USSR. For everyday Americans, it was a chilling reminder that the Cold War wasn't just about speeches and politics. It was about espionage, risk, and the constant possibility of disaster. In living rooms across the nation, families stared at their black and white TVs, realizing the world was just one wrong move away from catastrophe. The release of Psycho, a new kind of horror. In June 1960, Alfred Hitchcock shocked America with Psycho, a film that forever changed cinema. Moviegoers expecting a typical thriller instead found themselves gripped by raw tension, unpredictable twists, and a level of psychological horror they'd never seen before. The now iconic shower scene left audiences gasping, and Hitchcock's clever marketing, barring late entry to the theater, created an unforgettable buzz. This wasn't just entertainment, it was an event. People lined up around the block, whispering nervously as they waited, then emerged from the theater shaken but exhilarated. For many, Psycho was the moment when Hollywood proved it could scare not just with monsters, but with the darkest corners of the human mind. It marked the beginning of a new era where movies could challenge, shock, and change the way we saw the world. The first sit-in protests of the Civil Rights Movement, 1960, became a turning point for civil rights, when 4 black college students in Greensboro, North Carolina, sat down at a whites-only lunch counter and politely asked for service. They were refused, but they didn't leave. Their quiet defiance sparked a wave of sit-ins across the South as young people joined in to challenge segregation. For many Americans watching on TV, this was their first close look at the courage and dignity of the movement. The images were powerful. Neatly dressed students, books in hand, sitting peacefully while enduring insults, food thrown at them, even arrests. The sit-ins showed that change could come from ordinary citizens refusing to accept injustice, and they inspired thousands to take part in nonviolent protest. In 1960, a simple act of sitting down became one of the boldest stands in American history. The birth control pill hits the market. In 1960, the FDA approved Enovid, the first oral contraceptive pill, and it quietly began one of the biggest social revolutions in modern history. At first, it was prescribed mainly for menstrual regulation, but everyone knew what it really meant. For the first time, women could reliably control if and when they became pregnant. This new freedom had ripple effects far beyond medicine. It opened doors for women to pursue careers, education, and independence without the constant fear of an unplanned pregnancy. In the conservative climate of 1960, the pill was both celebrated and condemned. Religious groups debated its morality, while many doctors hesitated to prescribe it. But within a few years, it would transform relationships, family planning, and women's rights forever. In its own quiet way, that little pill was as revolutionary as rockets and politics. The launch of the first weather satellite, Tyros-1. On April 1, 1960, America took its first real step toward seeing the planet from space. NASA launched Tyros-1, the world's first successful weather satellite, and suddenly meteorologists could track storms from above. The grainy black-and-white images it sent back were nothing short of magical. Cloud patterns swirling over continents, storms curling in the oceans. For the average American, it was mind-blowing to realize we could now watch the Earth from the heavens. This wasn't just about better weather reports, it was about the dawn of the space age becoming part of everyday life. But here's the thing. Tyros-1 was just the beginning. Within a year, satellites wouldn't just be watching the weather. They'd be watching us. And the story of how that happened is even more dramatic. Okay, quick question for you. If you could hop in a time machine and spend just one day in 1960, where would you go first? Would you grab a milkshake at the corner diner, sit in on the Kennedy-Nixon debates, or maybe catch Psycho on opening night? I want you to drop your answer in the comments, because I'm betting we're going to see some wildly different ideas. And if you were actually alive back then, first of all, you're a living legend. Tell us your favorite memory from that year. Let's see who can paint the most vivid picture of 1960 life in the comments section. 1960 was more than just another year in the history books. It was a year of firsts, of turning points, of bold steps into an uncertain future. From the heated Kennedy-Nixon election to the quiet courage of the Greensboro sit-ins, from lasers and satellites to a little pill that changed the world, every moment told a story about a country balancing tradition with transformation. Looking back, it's clear that the seeds of the modern world were being planted right then and there. Final question for the audience. Which of these moments do you think had the biggest impact on the America we know today, and why? If this trip back to 1960 brought the past alive for you, hit that like button. It really helps more history lovers find us. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next journey into the events that shaped our world. And ring the bell so you're first in line when the next video drops, because we've got an incredible story coming about the year satellites started watching not just the weather, but people.